Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for Orange Esports versus MUFC, a best-of-3 loser bracket round 1 match for the Alienware Cup, brought to you by Alienware, MasterCard, the Good Studio,
and BTS,
as well as DPM Interactive, our organizer, the lovely lady who made everything possible here for James, as well as Bruno, sitting on the floor in front of us.
And horrific for everyone else at the BTS studio.
You just flipped the whole stream on Bruno.
Oh, Bruno, down, Bruno.
Stop. Bad, Bruno. Keep your fingers down.
All right, yeah, so looks like we already started with the bans and picks. And nothing too surprising right now. Actually, Lifestealer has a second ban out for MUFC. Has that been popular over the course of this tournament?
Lifestealer is actually here that Orange has not played that much. Generally, still, he's Lifestealer. Open Wounds got nerfed, but once you get to the mid game, same exact hero. 100 lower range in open wounds, which basically means nothing. And Orange love to run aggressive tri lanes. They love to roam their supports early, and so picking strong, hard-to-kill solos is one of their priorities. And so MUFC going to ban it out here.
All right, and Chen being the last ban for Orange, MUFC going to take a little time to take their first pick. They do have some pretty good options. Do we see a lot of Nyx Assassin come out for first picks, or is it kind of faded away a little bit here?
Not so much. For MUFC, they really like the jungle play. I mentioned that, so the Chen ban here is pretty smart, even though Extinct does play a mean Chen, but it's MUFC, I think, are more likely to turn to that. Darkseer, that'll be TFG's offlane hero. We might see something like the Dragon Knight for FCFC, maybe Aquita Pain, and keep in mind that Faceless Void is always an option, but Visage, a hero that has been an absolute terror as of late, slips through, and I'm not sure if I like giving this away to Orange, because Extinct has like a 13-2 win rate on this hero. Well, not win rate, but just record on this hero. He wins a lot of games with Visage. Visage, in general, has won a lot of games in the agency.
Yeah, it's coming into effect into the European scene pretty well, and actually you see it a lot more played in pubs, and people kind of really underestimate how much damage output it can put into the team fights, and also how hard it is to handle in terms of shutdown, especially with the familiars also messing some stuff up as well. And then you called it, it's going to be the Dragon Knight after the Darkseer. So where... we got a second round of bans now. What do you think both teams are going to be worried about?
For MUFC, I'm curious to see if they go for an Enchantress themselves, but it'll be Orange's the first pick coming out of this, and if you give away a Visage and an Enchantress, that's very hard to lane against. Probably won't be able to kill a Dragon Knight or a Darkseer, but it's more the tri-lane where MUFC is going to be worried. 2 melee solos, not the best at rotating off the lane, so they want to pick a strong tri-lane that doesn't need that much support, because Darkseer, mostly just best pushing the off lane, farming the early mech. Dragon Knight just wants to pressure his lane, unless he gets a rune. Can't really rotate off that effectively. So I expect for MUFC, they'll obviously need Huntrash pros carry, or Huntrash players carry, and then they'll need the 2 supports. Enchantress, I think, might be one of those possibilities. Rubik, great setup hero for the Enchantress, but we'll get banned out here.
Yeah, Rubik going to be first removed. MUFC just looking for their ban now, so we get an idea of where they kind of want to go and try and stop Orange since they're going to have the first pick of the second phase.
Yeah, we'll see MUFC going through their bans. Winter is definitely very familiar with Orange Esports. He played with a lot of these guys in the past. He knows Mushi inside and out. Mushi is in the captain's chair. He's been drafting for them as of late. They've gone for the early ALK. Generally, it's been a carry ALK for this team. We've seen a lot of the Chinese teams like to put a mid, Russia Medallion, Russia Mech, go for utility items. But with Orange, I expect it'll be a tri-lane farmer. Mushi's Windrunner is still in the pool. That's something I would really like to see MUFC remove from the game, unless they plan on picking it right away, because if you give Mushi Windrunner, he dominates the mid lane. That's a hero that can really punish a Dragon Knight mid and also just be really active in the fights early and often. So a Windrunner ban here would be advisable, but they'll actually go ahead and ban out a Nature's Prophet. Something that Ohio likes to run. He usually goes to the offlane with it and just basically sells his soul to shut down the enemy supports. He'll spam the Treants, put Treants at the Magic Bush, put them in the creep camps, block the pulls, deny the supports from getting early levels. So it's not a bad ban by any means, but the Windrunner gets the ban here.
Yeah, you called it. So I didn't want a Windrunner mid, and just because of that, the Windrunner being banned out is going to be a Nyx Assassin. Now that can of course join the tri-lane. Is a pretty decent setup. The initial stun is pretty decent as a setup with Visage. But we have to see. Do you expect that to kind of go mid, but that's kind of rough versus a DK?
Generally, they actually run it as a support. And with this tri-lane, double melee, you mentioned Nyx can set up, but Impale's not the best because he's a melee hero, so he has to get pretty close and put himself potentially in harm's way. I think Orange might defensive tri-lane this, at least if they're going to run the ALK in the tri-lane. I mentioned they could run it mid. It's still an option for them. Alc versus Dragonite mid is pretty much a wash, but I would much rather have the DK once they hit level 6, simply because you're ranged, you have a ranged stun, you don't have to channel it, and you can put a lot of pressure on the tower, whereas Alc just kind of farms and ganks. Weaver will be the choice for MUFC. Strong tri-lane here, elusive, hard to kill. Is very vulnerable to Nyx in the mid game though, so for MUFC, getting that Weaver, a quick Linken's, a quick BKB is going to be of utmost importance.
Now, we've actually seen Weaver getting into those tri-lanes a lot more recently, as in terms of the actual one that will get the farm and play the carry. How does that work for you? Is that something you agree with?
I like the Weaver pick here because they needed a strong tri-lane carry. The main issue is if Orange look like they could go aggressive, and you don't want someone who can just be burst down from 0 to nil, from 0 to nothing, or from full to nothing. Jesus, English is harder than I thought it would be. I'm learning this language.
Try American, it's easier.
Yeah. Magnus, the pick for Orange. So now they secure the late game for themselves. With Alchemist, almost certainly a carry Alchemist now, and Empower. That's a very fearsome late game lineup. Invasion MUFC, 2 strong semi-carries in the Dragonite, the Weaver, but a 6-slotted Alchemist against this lineup with Empower and with RP on his side could be very hard to fight into. If this goes late, I would favor Orange's lineup unless MUFC is quite far ahead, but they do have 2 more picks here.
Yeah, we
still
have to see
needing
the
that
supports. Yeah, and Rubik's already gone as well, so that's unfortunate. They're up against a Magnus, and Rubik could have been pretty nice here, but it doesn't work out too bad for him. And Sand King's going to come in, so a good solid stun, and also the ulti, they're able to put it down. But the Weaver in the tri-lane is what's going to be the interesting storyline for me in this matchup, just because, yes, it should get the farm, it should be able to survive, but is it going to be able to do more than that? And it's a very hard hero to kind of go up against in the tri-lane just because of Sakuchiing away and also the investment you have to bring into the sentries. So it's going to be an interesting time for MUFC, and with that Sand King, just like the idea of having that on an offensive tri-lane doesn't sound good at all. So
yeah, though
it's going to be safe.
I'm a little concerned for MUFC here. Going for the Sand King, it does give them a lot of team fight potential, but he has to walk into... If he tries to come into the fight, he's got to walk past the Impale, the Alchemist Stun, Acid Spray, Soul Assumption, potentially Skewer RP. There's a lot of burst damage. They did need a support. They want to try and take team fights, but when you've already given away Nyx, Magnus, Alc, taking team fights is going to be very dicey. So MUFC will need to see some good early movement from their supports, maybe some quick smoke ganks. If you get Sand King, you follow it up with something... Well, I was going to say Shadow Demon, but he's actually already banned out. So some sort of combo hero. He's just not the best initiator, so I don't know how much they can actually move early on, unless they... I don't know who they'd even get. Twin-Headed Dragon, the other hero that maybe you can initiate with, that's banned as well. Rubik, Shadow Demon. Their ability to rotate and find kills is going to be rather limited because their supports just don't have any initiation range right now.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what they're going to turn up with, but of course Orange looking for the off lane right now.
Yep, Bounty Hunter.
It's going to be a bounty, so...
This is a pretty greedy lineup from RNG Sports. They need level 6 on a lot of heroes. You want Track, you want RP, you want Vendetta, Alc wants Chemical Rage, the Familiars, supports that need levels, carries that need a decent amount of farm. Now, Alchemist obviously will find it, but Bounty Hunter versus Sand King and Weaver, you can track both of them. It'll help their team chase in these fights. It'll help counter the mobility of MUFC, and Orange getting some of their own. Also can just basically mess with the Darkseer. So if the Darkseer goes to the jungle, Bounty Hunter can constantly try and steal his neutrals, harass him a bit. Ion Shell is going to make that hard, but you can still steal the big neutrals if you're timely with the Windwalk. So we'll see what he does, but off the bat, I don't know about this Bounty Hunter pick, but the first 4, I think Orange has the slightly more well-rounded lineup. MUFC just have to get a lot of stuff done in the early game, and the Enchantress I mentioned, they'll snap it up with the last pick here. Putting even more pressure on their early game, but also giving them a hero that can actually get stuff done. So I like this pick a lot.
Yeah, the Enchantress, as you mentioned, they normally like to pick up a jungler. Chum was banned out. So
for Ling.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what the Enchantress is going to have to be able to do. But any kind of favorites going in, just off the bans and picks?
RNG Sports, they have a quad melee lineup against an Enchantress and a Weaver and a Darkseer. Darkseer is generally considered a melee counter because of Ion Shell, Vacuum, Wall. Melee heroes tend to clump. They tend to get caught in Vacuum more. Ion Shell tends to affect them more because they're close to enemy heroes. So having 4 melee heroes against this much AoE, I think MUFC actually are in decent position. I would have preferred to see RNG Sports go for something a little bit more durable and kind of teamfight oriented for Ohio, but the Prophet did get banned. That would have been great to mess with their jungle. I like MUFC's draft a lot more after these last 2 picks, but RNG Sports, if they can get to late game intact, they'll have the edge here.
All right, so we're going to get into this, and we can give you just a You got the camera, right? You don't. Where's Scriff the observer? Why don't you fly him out? But
we couldn't afford Scriff. He charges a pretty penny, man.
He is expensive, and he requires a lot of attention. So playing for Orange on the Alchemist is going to be KYXY. On the Visage is just going to be X. You have to correct me if I get any of their names wrong. Extinct. Playing the Nyx Assassin is going to be Net. And how do you even say this guy's name playing the Bounty Hunter? You just go ooh.
It's Ohio.
Ohio. I just want to go ooh.
Ooh. We can go with that. Yeah. Or we can go with oov. That's what Merlini calls the Orb of Venom nowadays. Yeah? It's very annoying, actually.
Oh.
I smacked him. I slapped him when he did that, but he didn't stop. In fact, he keeps on doing it more. I think he's trying to piss me off. The last player, of course, your captain for this squad, it's going to be Mushi, the drafter at least. And he'll be playing, what was their fifth hero? Magnus. Mushi Magnus. Sort of like Dendi's Magnus, where Mushi's a fantastic mid player, Dendi's a fantastic mid player, but can be a bit hit or miss with his RPs. So that's the one concern I have for RNG Sports. But if he's on point, RNG Sports going to be a fearsome opponent. On the Radiant side, we have their opponents. MUFC, it's an all-Malaysian showdown. FZ going to be handling that Dragon Knight, heading towards the mid lane, rushing a bottle. Winter, the captain. Winter is coming as the Sand King. Early Observer Awards picked up for him. TFG on the Darkseer. And we will have Hantrash player, your carry player, playing a safe lane Weaver. Ling going to be roaming and ganking early with Smoke picked up on the Enchantress.
So how do you like how MUFC have kind of gone about this so far? Because they've got Darkseer going to what is off lane, and I'm not sure what are they just looking to secure the runes at the beginning? We've also got Enchantress, played by Ling, who's already picked up a Smoke. When do you think this is going to come into effect? Because
very early.
The safe lane Weaver really is just there by himself on that lane, it will feel like.
If he gets the right creep, he'll probably go for a first blood at level 1, I think. Lane's going to look to move early and often. RNG Sports, I mentioned a lot of melee heroes. That means they'll tend to be close to the creep wave. They'll be a little bit easier to gank. They have sentry wards for the Weaver, or for the Bounty Hunter, so they could gank the bottom lane. They can gank mid. Magnus with the new skewer, it's not really the new skewer, but skewer's reduced range compared to how it used to be. It's now 600 at level 1, fairly gankable, and they have great lanes to gank. Darkseer, Ion Shell damage is fantastic for finding a first blood. You can put one on the Sand King, surge him in once the Darkseer hits level 2. That will give you a Burrow Strike initiation. Same for mid lane. Dragon Knight, great early stun. If they can just set him up with a smoke gank, I think they could find some early kills. And then the bottom lane, Weaver, no lockdown, but a lot of damage, and could chase a Bounty Hunter. So I think MUFC could gank any of these lanes. Probably Mushi's Magnus is the highest priority one, the easiest one to put some pressure on early. And off the bat, an Illusion Rune for Bounty Hunter. Yeah. This is going to pose quite a few problems for lane, but nice play by him, body blocking this Illusion Rune and ensuring that it won't block his big camp. And he'll get a Dark Troll Summoner off the bat.
Yeah, nicely done, making sure he did get his big camp. But a couple of the the spawns were blocked of the camps.
This isn't good. TFG off the bat might be giving up our first blood here. That's a long duration stun. KYXY is going to find it, and he's almost completely trapped. No surge, just Ion Shell. Not a good way for him to start. Orange have a very strong killing tri-lane, but to give up a kill this quickly is really going to hurt because it's MUFC who want to keep the pressure up, and here you go, Smoke off the bat.
Yep, and it is going to be, as you mentioned, Dark Troll Summoner, so a good chance to actually make something happen here. They're going to have to bring the Darkseer back, and looks like they potentially want to head just towards the actual tri-lane and make something happen and put that Darkseer back into the game. But Darkseer almost level 2, doesn't have his Surge yet, just that level 1 in Iron Shell. And we'll see how this smoke is going to go down. Yeah,
Surge is actually pretty important here just to get Winter in range for Burrow Strike. They do have the Troll Trap, but it doesn't really last that long, only 1.5 seconds. So they've got to chain it up properly. The smoke will be revealed. Net already backing off, and even though they find them, it's not going to happen. Nicely placed ward, and just hard to execute without the level 2 in Darkseer and without him being there. So early smoke wasted. Definitely big advantage here for Orange. But we should look at the two solo lanes. Mushi, wow, really dominating his 8 and 6 already in what I would call a pretty even matchup. And then the off lane, Bounty Hunter 4 and 0 to the 6 and 2 of Weaver. So slight advantage there to MUFC, but all things considered, RNG Sports already winning these lanes.
Yeah, and they also gave sentries to Hontrash player as well, playing the Weaver down there to have an easier time versus the Bounty. So that should be a lane in favor of MUFC. And we'll have to see. What's really going to be interesting is how this tri-lane goes down, and also Ling, a little bit out of position, not going to be able to rejoin his team, just going to have to background through the river. But they haven't really slowed down the Alchemist yet. There's been kind of no real impact here on the side of MUFC. So.
Yeah, this is a 9-4 Alc. It's not the best CS, but it's better than the Weavers. It's equal to the Weavers, I should say, which means it's a lot better. And he's already got a point in Greevil's Greed.
Yeah.
In comes the Centaur. They're trying to harass him. They'll try to keep the pressure up here. But that's where Mushi can alleviate the pressure. 13-6, great start for him. He has his bottle. Arcane Boots will come fairly quickly at this rate, and that means once Mushi has Arcanes and farms, he'll farm his Blink off of that, and he can... Any slowdown that the Alc experiences now will be completely negated by a nice early rotation, and I think this is the high priority hero for MUFC to gank, but every movement they make, spotted by dire wards. It's just hard for MUFC to really get their feet in this game.
Yeah, it'd be interesting though, because this tri-lane can really turn around quickly. Just like having an Iron Shell on a Centaur, you know, just the amount of health it has to be able to take it down, that can really help them out. Either they want to put some pressure down on the supports, or they just want to put some pressure on Alc. And the Alchemist isn't getting the easiest time anymore since the Darkseer has just a couple of points into the Iron Shell, so last hitting is going to eat up some of his regen. But it's really up to, Winter on the Sand King, Ling on the Enchantress. When are they going to make something happen? Because so far all the other lanes are playing out pretty evenly, but I will say that the Weaver Hontrash player is doing pretty fantastically.
Yeah, it's a matchup that he should win. He was pulled Sentry Wards. He's a Weaver against a melee hero like the Bounty Hunter. But Ohio does have his boots, and most importantly for the Bounty is always getting levels. And right now he's getting them. Centaur stun on 2, but no ability to commit. And I think Ling just fed away the Centaur there as well. That's quite a bit of experience going towards Orange. And they're a squishy tri-lane. Sand King as well as Enchantress. If they get caught, could be bad. Oh, Mushi. He went for this rune top, but it ended up spawning bottom. Haster in for the Bounty Hunter. And Ohio wants to help Mushi out a bit here. Looks like he'll go for a bit of harass if FCFZ comes in the lane, but not going to be able to find a kill.
Yeah, just puts a little bit of damage down, but that one, of course, to no effect in the long run with Dragon Blood.
I just want to point out how good these wards are from Orange. Ling, outside of that smoke gank, has, and even at the end of the smoke gank, everything he's done has been tracked perfectly. And when you run this kind of dual roam combo, you want to have vision superiority. You want to be able to move freely without the enemy supports knowing where you are. So even if they don't die, you put the fear of God in them, and they're not farming and pulling as much. But Orange are getting a lot of pulls off. They're getting quite a bit of experience on their supports, and it just goes back to those great early wards from Net.
It seems kind of odd to actually keep MUFC up on the tri-lane now, because the Darkseer should be pretty safe. It's not an easy lane to be safe against, but surely wouldn't it be worth to actually have Winter maybe pulling his lane with the Weaver and actually maybe harassing even more the Bounty Hunter? Oh, there comes the Surge. So they can do something.
Oh, it's a long way to go. Winter still burrows in. He baits out the Carapace. Nicely done, but the Impale comes through, connects on 2. There's your Alc stun. That's a lot of burst. And they're on the run now. Net might end up dying. He wants to deny to neutrals here. I don't think he's going to get it off. Maybe he will. The Centaur stomp, stolen by Lane, secures the kill. 1 for 1, a Nyx for a Sand King. Not too shabby, but Alc isn't dying. Alc is getting golden experience, and he's now all of a sudden your lead farmer, despite having 8 less CS than the Weaver. That's Greevil's Greed, as well as assists in action.
I mean, you never want to leave an Alc alone, but they're just not, in my opinion, slowing him down enough, MUFC. So I'd actually like to see them kind of rotate their supports back to their jungle and focus maybe some attention on Mushi mid. Of course, he's got his RP now as he's level 6. He's doing great. As you mentioned, he's gone into his Arcane Boots after his bottle, but they could have put some pressure elsewhere. The Bounty, Ohio, is only level 5 currently. He's not, as we mentioned, had the easiest time, but just getting levels and a Bounty Hunter is really all you need. So we'll see if he comes into effect, and he's going to have to probably rotate more with Mushi anyway, so he might want to wait until Mushi gets his Blink Dagger.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think MUFC should have made a go on mid earlier, but if they had tried to, the way they were going to go would have been spotted. They would have needed to use a smoke, and Orange, Mushi's been pretty good about staying back when those supports are heading his direction. So it might have been hard to find a kill there, but Mushi's the most important hero for this team. If he gets an early blink, like around, say, that 10 to 12 minute mark, and Orange still have their outer towers, it's going to be very hard for MUFC to break those. Darkseer mech isn't going to be quick because he gave up first blood. He's only got 25 CS. Not that great for an offlane Darkseer. Sand King underleveled, can't really be the one who initiates and dives these
and
towers.
he doesn't have a Darkseer with him as well, so even though he's in a nice position, Winter, it's a very short range stun. You might as well just be on top of him with a level 1 stun.
Mushi's hunting him. Mushi might want to go for a kill here. No, just places an Observer Ward. Could probably, I don't know if he could solo kill Sand King actually, not with the RP damage nerf, but could definitely do a lot of damage. if they don't kill Mushi now and he gets a Blink Dagger, MUFC, when you run this Enchantress tri-lane with a Darkseer, you don't just want to get kills. You want to slow down the Aux farm, which they haven't really done, but more importantly, you want to take the tower. And they haven't been even scratched this tier 1, still very healthy. That's my biggest concern. If you let all these towers stay up, then the ability for this mag to just TP in and counter-initiate and for them to find track kills is enormous.
Yeah.
And the space is still there for RNG Sports, and here we go. Few heroes grouped up for MUFC, rotating towards the enemy jungle. TFG, bottle stick, magic stick up, needs that mech, needs it quickly, but not really able to contest these pulls.
They can actually do something to the Alchemist if they were to focus on him in the lane. He's not overly healthy, and he's actually already popped his ultimate, Chemical Rage, so once that's down, he's not going to have all the HP in the world that he currently has. But they're actually going to rotate away, and Darkseer will start heading towards mid, so it's more about defending the tower on the off lane now if it does get pushed, and Winter's still there, and still level 2 on Winter, compared to, I think the supports are level 4? Yep, level 4. For Orange.
As far as gold and experience goes, it's dead even, but just strategically. I have to give Orange a big edge here, because they have pretty much everything they want right now. Level 6 on the Bounty Hunter, Mag farming for a fast Blink Dagger, Out getting okay farm, and their supports in the tri-lane getting levels. Level 5 on Extinct, level 4 on Net, which is not bad considering they were up against a tri-lane with an Enchantress. So strategically, Orange had the big advantage here. MUFC, I would like to see them try and make something happen soon. If they don't do it now, and Mushi gets Blink, it's going to be much harder later on. But where do you go? It's tough. If you tower dive and it's not Mushi's lane, he just TPs in and RPs you. If it's not the Bounty Hunter's lane, he TPs in and starts tracking heroes, and potentially you give away a lot of track gold. But playing tentatively isn't going to favor MUFC either. It's a rock and a hard place they're trapped between right now. Yeah,
there is a lot of focus just on their carries and how the fights are going to go down, because they are going to meet. I don't think they can transition into kind of, I wouldn't say transition, but just kind of play that Weaver, just constantly split pushing. They might have to, but ideally, you do want to be able to use that Sand King in the fights. But
the problem is then you're split pushing its Bounty Hunter and Nick. Yeah. So good luck not dying to that. Unless you have a Lincoln's, which he's a long way off from farming.
And he's going to be crucial to the team fights to have him in there. You need someone else that's going to have a little bit of punch with the DK once the vacuum wall comes in. And the DK, sure, he's doing pretty well, I would say. FZYY, if that's even his real name. But we'll see how he's going to actually turn up into the team fights and be an effect. But tier 1.
And this should be a dead giveaway that Orange are trying to make something happen, because they've rotated net mid as the Nyx, but Mushi's already shown himself bottom. I think he wanted to make a go here, go for an RP. Whenever you see that support rotate mid, it's normally a sign that the enemy solo is off ganking. So they give Net some free experience, and he'll get close to level 6. Visage Familiar is coming soon. Winter's going to burrow in, only level 3, but he has trapped Extinct behind the tower. It won't be your first blood, a quick TP out, but Dragon Knight gets the Dragon Tail off in time. They will be losing their Visage here. It did force 2 TPs off the lane. And now Orange will be a lot more confident in those other lanes. Nice kill for MUFC, but they did have to commit quite a bit to killing a support.
I think it's definitely worth it though, because they actually had the Darkseer on the bottom lane, which was just helping push. When I was like, okay, Winter's kind of sat top lane. He's getting farm. They don't have any vision. He could just burrow strike in and also Sandstorm afterwards, since there aren't any familiars to stun him. So he just waited there patiently. He's actually almost up to level 5 now, and that rotation is still really, really good. For getting that kill for their supports, and also Hontrash player hasn't really been pressured on his lane, but he's up against Mushi now, so he's a little bit concerned about the RP. And we also have Ohio on the bounty, just checking around, and he's actually going to find himself Ling.
Oh, I think Ling heard him go invis there. Did it right as he walked around the corner, but should be okay. Double Centaurs up for him, only level 4. This is starting to become a concern from MUFC. Their supports are very squishy. In fact, their whole lineup is squishy as far as these backline 3. The Weaver, the Enchantress, the Sand King. You look at Ling, 560 HP against the Nyx. That's a solo kill. Bounty Hunter can almost solo kill him. And they're going to make a move on mid now. Mushi, if he finds some kills here, that's going to be his Blink Dagger. FCFC heading towards the top rune.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the rotation's going to be quick enough to save him with RP and being able to screw him out. And he's a pretty easy target to get onto. If he's smart, he won't go back towards mid. But of course, that's. I'm just saying, just run home. Doesn't matter. He's like full HP, leg it. If you don't see anybody, that's how I play Dota. Mainly with my eyes closed. But actually, now Mushi's kind of shown himself. He's able to just come into the lane and feel a little bit safer. And Mushi's like, okay, I'll take the...
Oh, Burrow top lane. They want to go on KYXY, but he's channeling his stun. Winter goes into Sandstorm and might be able to live. KYXY is going to self-stun himself. Oh, Winter waiting for that cooldown, but gets double familiar stun. And then Soul Assumption to the face. That's going to hurt. And they get a kill. Alchemist is going Battle Fury, now up to 1,300 gold. Channeling another stun, wants to go in top lane. TFG, what are you doing, my friend? Well, he just underestimated the range here of RNG Sports. Will be getting picked off.
And that's most likely going to be a tower as well if they want it. Mushi also rotated bottom lane. He's actually picked up his Blink Dagger now, I do believe. Yeah, it's just got delivered.
This is pretty much going, I would say, nearly perfectly for Orange. Alk he hasn't died yet. He's farming top lane. He's rushing to Battle Fury. Mushi has the Blink Dagger. Bounty Hunter, level 8. Does get Dragon Tail. Might end up going down. Ohio goes invis, narrowly fades away in time.
His poison.
That poison breath's not fatal.
Yeah.
So he'll be okay.
I didn't even know that. That's news to me. I thought poison. I thought the actual dot could have been.
It's
fatal.
like, oh, there's RP. Blake catches to Mushi. He can skewer them back in. He waits a little bit too long. Oh, he missed an opportunity there. That could have been a double kill, but FCFC still falls. Yeah, could have just blink RP'd and immediately skewered, but wanted to get off the shockwave first. And let's one escape. Still, that shiny new Blink Dagger. Finding kills, and now it's Orange who are going to look to push.
I'm not sure how they're going to be able to defend here. MUFC, they didn't have their Darkseer have a great game, and certainly in terms of farm, so they're nowhere near their mech. Just the Familiars putting down some damage, and if they wanted to put the pressure on Orange, maybe they could have, but they're actually going to be able to just back away right now. We should check over with Hontrash player as well, just to see what items he's actually going for. He's actually picked up an Ogre Club.
Yeah, he kind of needs a BKB this game. Like I mentioned Liquid Sphere, but there's a lot of ways to remove it. The Nyx Mana Burn, Impale, Soul Assumption, which has a 4-second cooldown, Alk Stun, Track, Shuriken Toss. So the other issue is if you go Linken's, that's a farming item, and you don't really want to be farming against this Orange lineup. You're just not going to outfarm an Alchemist with Empower and a Battle Fury, which, by the way, KOXY's got the money for it now. Once this courier gets back to base, well, for some reason it's going to deliver some sentries, but I guess worried about wanting to gank the Weaver. But yeah, once he gets his Battle Fury, Ancients are already being stacked. The gold per minute is going to be pretty freaking off the charts, to say the least.
Yeah, MUFC won the mid tower. And here comes the
Nat.
Vendetta.
Yeah, there's your Impale to start. Now Ohio to follow up, doing a lot of damage. FCFC, tanky, but is he tanky enough? Another blink for Mushi. He pulls Winter back in, who burrows through 2, but they've already lost their Dragonite, and now the chase is on, and Track is often king in these engagements. They lose 2. KOXY Battle Fury coming now on the courier. And Weaver not joining these fights. I don't think he can just sit back and farm. That might not have been a good fight to join, but they've got to get him involved quickly. They really need this Darkseer mech. MUC have to start taking 5v5 clashes, but it's hard because you're fighting against RP, and you're fighting against a very strong team fighting lineup.
It feels like they just need to hold as strong as possible. They obviously don't want to lose this tier 1 mid, even though they will probably end up losing it. But yeah, it's about having a Darkseer that's able to give you a little bit of breathing room in terms of having that mech and having some additional levels on him. So I can understand why maybe not pulling Hontrash player playing on the Weaver, as he was able to just continue his farm. And that Ogre Club, it's nice, sure, he gets a little bit HP, but he's not going to add much damage apart from just spamming Sakuchi through and hopefully getting on the right targets. But the Orange lineup melt anybody. They can pick any target with the Vendetta, with the stun, and of course the RP and the Alk stun. They should be able to just melt one target.
They want to make a go mid. They're going to dive KOXY. They have a Burrow Strike. It's level 4. Epicenter gets channeled in a hurry. Now the vacuum back. I think they have enough burst to bring him down. He's still tanky, but the Imps could finish the job. No, he's stunned. The perfect hero. Ling couldn't finish it. Now Mushi jumps in. Pile drives them back. Burrow through from Winter wants to escape. He will escape. Alk suddenly back to half HP. They just don't have the damage here. They don't have the horses in this race, and Winter's now on the run. The Familiar's giving chase, anticipating his path of retreat. One stun on the Darkseer, healing up now, and a DD top rune almost getting denied, but it does get bottled by TFG, who will now have to surge his way out. Blink Skewer cooling down, a Blink Shockwave is available. Shuriken Toss already used, and Mushi is just biding his time for those Blink Skewer. TFG heads north, but you ain't running from Track. Blink Skewer completely airballs it. Still, I think TFG might be in trouble here. Ring around the Rosie, and it's extinct. Cutting off the path of retreat, goes for the body block, can't find it. Still running. Cue the Benny Hill music. Finally, he'll go down. Oh, this is not going well for MUFC.
Yeah, not the hero in this particular instance. I feel that you would at all want to lose, but he did actually buy some time for the DK to pick up some decent farm mid.
He still doesn't have his mech, though. That's the big concern.
It's what they need, and it's what they have to wait for. And if they have it, they, as I mentioned, like, Orange can melt somebody, just any single target if they find somebody, and they really need to stand strong as a team to be able to take these fights against Orange. Very strong kind of team fight lineup with the Magnus in there. So we have to see how that's going to work out once the mech comes out. But they're holding on pretty decently, MUFC. And
well,
they were actually looking to do something to the AWC bottom, but not going to happen.
Yeah, Orange have just done a really nice job of protecting that Alchemist. We've seen Mushi anticipating the movements, the early Observer Ward protecting that tri-lane, just generally good pressure created by Net and Extinct. The wards have been great. I think that's the biggest thing for RNG Sports is when they were farming the Alchemid, they had Observer Ward towards the top room, they had one near the bottom. So if MUC wanted to make a go, they'd have to do it the hard way. Dusk was deployed on Ohio mid. He will eat a Dragon Tail. Now a Centaur Stomp. He's pretty tanky. I think he will go down, yeah, with Winter there. The follow-up's done. But if they trade a Weaver for this, would not be ideal. And Huntrash player wisely will back off. They just showed 3 mid. That means he's got to be very careful because Orange are probably looking to gank him. The Familiars are going to find him 1 stun. The second not going to connect. Sakuchi's away. So overall for RNG Sports, they just need to sit back and farm. If they take a tower, that's great. Find a few kills with Nyx, but you have the Alchemist with a Battle Fury. You're going to pull ahead, and KYXY is rushing a BKB. So once he gets this, they can team fight really well. And MUFC, nobody can really deal with the BKB Alchemist. There's just not that much physical damage.
Yeah, currently not so.
Oh,
Actually, we're going
Winter.
to see an engagement as Winter will get picked up. Sentry's going to be dropped. And he'll be going down to Net playing the Nyx Assassin. So a decent pick off. And yeah, we've kind of talked about MUFC having supports that were struggling. But it was a good gank mid. Not having that tier 1 tower. There was no TP rotation from Mushi there to help out the Bounty Hunter. But giving one of their own away. I'm still wondering how these big team fights are going to go down. I give such a huge advantage to Orange, and it's just really scary for MUFC even to be picking up farm on anybody outside of the Weaver, and even the Weaver now, Huntrash player, is getting a lot of pressure on his lane. He's had it pretty easy before, but now everyone's coming down, but he does have his teammates behind him. This could go either way. We'll have to see how the initiation starts, but Mushi is the one to watch. Well, would have been the one to watch. He's actually used his RP,
There's
so
no RP.
not available.
Yeah, there's
this
no
could
RP
go
here.
really good for MUFC.
Burrow through onto Ohio's on the run, and Winter gets tracked. That's the one hero that needs to be able to get off his nukes. He can't. He goes down. Probably their most important team fight here, already dead. And unfortunately, without that, even though Mushi doesn't have RP, Orange, you know they're far ahead when they're just trying to take this fight anyway. And if he blink skewers somebody, they're probably going to get caught out. And what do you know? He's caught FCFC, pulls him into the fray. And, well, that's track gold for 5 heroes. And I don't even want to look at this gold graph right now. It just goes straight downward. About a 7k gold lead, 5k experience lead. And they still haven't taken that many towers. Once they start taking towers, you have Bounty Hunter Nyx. Farming is very dangerous. Team fighting is hard because they have Magnus. Taking it late game is hard because they have Alchemist with Empower. I feel like there's just no way out for MUFC. They feel completely boxed in to me.
Yeah, Huntrash player's actually gone mid to continue farming with BKB, but Orange are doing the right thing. They're ahead, so they fight, and they should win these fights. I mean, that one could have gone either way, but unfortunately, the AWC stun coming in from KYXY was just put down nicely. You know, it's obviously pretty easy to hit, but at the right time that once again they can melt one player, and soon we're going to be seeing that mech finish, and actually is finished on the Darks here.
It's
so
such a late mech.
Yeah.
21 minutes in. You would aim to have this by like I'd say like the 10 to 14 minute mark at the latest. It really hurts because they get it now, but AWC is so hard now that this mech is only like the start. You know, it's not. They need more. They need more to live through the burst damage of Orange. I'm sounding like a Debbie Downer here. I'm sorry, James.
I'm still rooting. You love Winter. You've got to give him.
I love Winter.
something.
I just, in my professional estimation, I don't see much of a way out here for MUFC, but they'll fight on. They'll need to get up these next items. FCFC working towards a BKB. If they can get some BKBs, at least they can avoid the chain stun. Then they just have to find a way to deal with the AWC and burst him down. And they're a bit lacking on that burst, so they need a lot of items. The BKBs, they have to farm those items without getting picked off. Oh, mid lane. It looks like we had an engagement. Ohio, let's take the tower mid. And that's 2 towers all of a sudden going for Orange. And now, map control going their way. Orange should go for Roshan. If not right now, then very soon. They have Empower. They have an AWC with Acid Spray.
And they just picked up a medallion as well.
Yeah, perfect timing to go for it. And I imagine we'll see them go do it right now.
Yeah, it was a nice pick off as well from the Bounty just to claim that mid tower. It's a little bit unfortunate that Ling playing the Enchantress was a little far away. He did actually have Dust, and of course now the Dust change will add a 10% slow. Oh,
I forgot about that. You're right.
So, and even though there is drums on the Bounty, I think that was the item that he decided to go for. Yeah, it was. They probably could have got a kill, but they gave up the tier 1 tower, and you can just tell by their positioning, like they know they're not ready to fight. They don't want to fight. And they just want to they're really leaning on Hontrash player with this Weaver, but I'm not sure how well this is going to go. Mushi defending top here.
Yeah, he's gone BKB because he needs a BKB. He actually got tracked. He needs the time-lapse out of this. He will do so. Now he's got a Sakuchi the other way. Oh, track cooling down for Ohio. Is he going to get it off? That's probably the death of Hontrash player. He's already time-lapsed. No way to remove this. He could BKB and try and run out, but RP is still going to go through that. He pops the BKB. Mushi, the swarm on him, can't actually jump in yet. Now Hontrash player goes for the TP out. Mushi,
nice.
Mana,
Wow.
just cooling down. Great escape there from Hontrash player.
Yeah, really, really nicely done. As you mentioned, just stopping Mushi from being able to blink in pretty much saved his life. So the BKB, was it used in that situation?
It was. That was his 10-second charge.
Yeah. So that was the 10-second gone.
Yeah, that hurts a little bit. If you have like a 4-second BKB against Orange, they can just RP you, and then that wears off. Your BKB wears off, and then you just die. So using those early BKB charges is a big deal. And also it's down, so Orange say, okay, we're going into Roche. We have RP once Mushi gets mana, which appears to be a persistent problem for him this game. Maybe he needs 2 sets of Arcane Boots. Up to 3,000 gold. That's going to be a BKB for him. And then it's going to be very hard to avoid this Magnus getting off an RP. Aegis about to fall. RNG Sports. No real way to snipe this except TFG walking in Viz. No sentries up for Orange, actually, but Aegis already on KYXY, and I don't think MUFC want to fight this. Yeah, they should back
free
off.
Centaurs as well. What a bonus. How nice are these guys?
Some extra gold for our Alk.
Yep. Items coming up for MUFC. They're looking to get their BKB, which should be coming pretty soon on the DK. But that's really all they've got going for them right now. Like, in terms of a damage item on the Weaver, is a little far away. So Orange are ready to fight. They're really happy. I expect to see them at the tier 2 towers pretty soon. They could still farm, but they should just take their advantage and go to some tier 2 towers, put down some fights. And I think this is the best it's going to get for MUFC for a little while, with just having that mech and having the BKBs up on the DK and the Weaver. But they're going to get melted still. I think they're a little too far behind. So there's a smoke. And almost a mech. Actually, a mech is completed for the Visage.
Oh, they're going to find lane here, I think. Mushi, smoke now revealed. Has he spotted anybody out yet? He's going to see TFG in a second.
He has.
He heads toward mid. Net heads towards top. Not Ned. On the chase, that haste rune wearing off. Now he's just got Vendetta. And he'll make a move here on Hontrash player. Hontrash player about to be spotted out. No engagement yet. Would like to see a gem honestly, from Orange. I mean, MUFC also need one, but Orange have the gold to buy one. They have the map control advantage, and they have this great 5-man lineup. If they could just starve MUFC, there's almost no way MUFC can come back. Like I said, they need so many items. They already have their BKB on the Weaver. Now he needs a lot of damage, and I mean a lot, because Alk has Empower, and Alk already has almost an Assault Cuirass completed. In fact, is it coming? Oh, he's already got one. Yeah. They need like 2 or 3 items on this DK and the Weaver, and farming those is very hard. Again, you're up against Bounty Hunter, you're up against Nyx. Orange, I think they should just be 5-manning. And take these outer tier 2s and then try and make a push for the base. Or they could just go straight in the bottom lane. They are really that strong. I don't know that MUFC could stop this, but they'll have to stand now, else they will lose game 1 most likely.
There's the Harpy, probably the best base defense they've got right now with the Chain Lightning, the only safe base defense.
There's their base defense down the chain.
And unfortunately, it died. But yeah, here comes the stun, and it's going to be on the DK. No BKB used, and we're just going to have to watch when Mushi wants to go in.
No.
Wall is already dropped.
Oh, they've already dropped the wall. That's level 2. It will last for 30 seconds, but it's not a great wall. KYXY can just run around it. He actually walks into it. Not ideal from him, but with the wall down, they now rely almost entirely on Winter to win this team fight, and he has no Blink Dagger. He can Epicenter, and TFG can surge him in. I don't know. There's enough BKBs on Orange. Just having one on the Alk and the Mag is probably sufficient. No wall. This makes things very difficult. It was already tough. Now it gets even harder.
Yeah, Nature's attendance is also down as well for the next 15 seconds. So if Orange want to go, they should be able to get what they want, which is the tower. They're just going to be chipping away.
See, they can't go on KYXY here because then Mushi just RPs them. But if they don't go on him, then he takes their tower. And he goes, blink, RP, catches 2. A timely pause from TFG. A boo comes out from Purge on the floor. But, you know,
you can analyze this perfectly now, just before the fight happens. How many people are going to die?
Well, I can tell you these 2 are going to die for sure. Mushi hasn't even used Skewer yet. TFG, no wall. He can throw a vacuum out, but Alk's already got BKB activated, so you can't vacuum him away. Mushi's got one as well. Extinct has a full damage soul assumption. hasn't even been used. Net still hasn't impaled or carapaced or vendetta. So if anybody else comes in to help these two, they're going to die. They have to sack these two, but if they sack these two, they lose the racks.
Yeah,
Can I just say this doesn't look good? This doesn't look good.
But everyone's just going to melt. Everyone's going to get one shot. You've got Acid Spray down. You've got an Assault Cuirass. It doesn't matter who they hit. If they just target anybody, they're all going. And even though the Darkseer you can see moving down will actually maybe drop a mech, it's almost not worth it.
Yeah,
it's a waste of mana. It's a waste of mana.
He gets he gets impaled. If he runs into drop a mech and then he gets mana burned, probably Vendetta struck, or not Vendetta struck, but Janata struck. Too many of these martial arts moves in this game, I guess. And then he'll probably fall as well. I think they just have to sack these two, but they'll try to fight. We'll see how it goes. They had to get a lot done in the laning stage, and giving up first blood on Darkseer, as well as that smoke gank not working because of the great ward from Net and just fortunate positioning, that just kind of ruined their laning stage.
I just wonder why they felt that they needed to do an offensive tri-lane with a Sand King. Sure, you got Surge, but maybe take the Darkseer jungle, pull him on safe lane, and then actually put some focus on mid.
Here's your own pause. We'll have that last fight. TFG is in a lot of trouble. He gets stunned. KWaxby still going to work. Huntrash player. He time-lapses out. BKB or not, they're still hunting him. They're still chasing him. Soul Assumption finds the kill in RNG Sports. It's been a while since they've had a big team fight, but they take one. Buyback on the Weaver. To what end? No BKB. Cannot jump into this many stuns. Still Aegis not even deployed. Orange Esports are cruising in game one. And MUFC struggling here quite a bit. We'll see one more impale. Are they going to go in? Winter burrows through, catches 3. Epicenter, no mana for it. He pops the stick charges. Too late, though. He's gone down to a Soul Assumption. Now KYXY, an imp to the face or not. This Alp, don't care. They'll take the racks. They'll back off. MUFC can fight on. No, they'll GG out. It was pretty much checkmate at that point.
Yeah, it is. And just not having what they needed on their team to actually fight as a team versus a very team-orientated lineup, and not having the damage items on the heroes that they needed damage items on. It's all great to turn into a dragon, but unfortunately it's kind of not that great when you're up against an AC, alchemist with AC, and yeah, it's just not going to work. So it's a little. I just felt it was a shame to take that Sand King and Enchantress to the offensive tri-lane to start with.
It would have been okay if they hadn't given away Visage, because if you give away Visage, it's so hard to tri-lane against that. You saw how much burst damage. They killed the Darkseer from full HP to nothing, just with an Alch stun, which does a lot of damage. Synergize as well with the Soul Assumption, because the Unstable Concoction hits hard, which means you have basically max charges on your Soul Assumption, just blows them up. I think MUFC, if they want to be aggressive, they just cannot give away Visage. They have to ban that hero, or they have to pick it for themselves. And then just the execution a bit lacking. Orange just played better.
Yeah, but imagine if Darkseer went jungle and just got a couple of levels. Imagine if Enchantress was actually looking to harass mid, either with tornadoes or actually just harass the bounty hunter. Because does the dust stack on the slow on top of the Enchantress slow?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does. You're obsessed with this dust slow.
No, because I haven't, I know it's 10%, but I'm like, does it slow additionally? Because on top of that, with the Enchantress slow as well, that bounty's going to have a really shitty time. Yeah. Of course, sentries are the obvious choice.
I think they could have put more pressure on Mushi as well. Yeah. They didn't even try to gank him once until way too late. He was winning his lane. Dragon Knight should probably break a bit more even, but that's Mushi for you. He's one of the best solo mids in the world. You can't leave anyone 1v1 and expect them to come out on top. At best, they break even. So I think they could have put more pressure on Mushi. The issue with abandoning that offlane, though, is then you get free farm away to an Alk. And trading farm with that hero is really tough.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like they had their Weaver get their farm. They fell so far behind on their supports that it was just like there's not a team fight in terms of where everyone's actually contributing, as opposed to the orange team. It's like it's really easy for Visage to contribute in any fight just because of how far you can stand away and Soul Assumption from. It's really easy for a Nyx Assassin to contribute in fights. You don't, they didn't need that much in terms of their supports and their other members of the team. It was a lot of focus, of course, on the Alchemist and also Mushi playing the
Magnus. Mushi Magnus.
Yeah, so it was like I would have let them have their Alchemist, have it easy, and then maybe focus everywhere else.
Well, we've already taken all the analysis. There's nothing left for Lumi and Bruno, clearly. But guys, what did you think of the match? Your thoughts?
First of all, the thing that I always say, Dragon Knight mid doesn't work.
It does.
It didn't.
Yeah.
Against Magnus,
Well-
probably the weakest solo mid in the game.
That's the Mushi factor, though. You
I-
have
I-
to account for
Well,
that.
didn't we agree that Mushi is a good player, but not particularly great at Magnus?
He's still a great laner. It's
Yeah,
more
yeah,
just his, sometimes his RP selection.
I think
isn't the
Dragon
best.
I got laned a little bit too hard, particularly because the warding that LD talked about. There's also like some really next level sentry wards down the ramp that were protecting against smoke gank. It just shows you how well MUFC and Orange know each other. Particularly those wards just shows that like they know how MUFC likes to smoke gank early on. The jungle play from Ling was basically figured out. To me, Weaver need to win really, really hard on the bot lane. I'm talking about like a 25-minute Treads, BKB, and a Desolator. Because with the build that Alchemist was going, he was going for no armor, and when you get a quick Desol on Weaver, you shred the entire team apart.
Right.
Weaver didn't win hard enough, and I think that was perhaps Hontrash Pro didn't take advantage of lane as hard as he could have, because he got full Sentry Ward. The Bounty Hunter started with Boots of Speed and not a Poor Man's Shield first.
Right.
That's a lane that you should defecate on, and that did not happen. So I put a lot of it on the failed ganks of MUFC, as well as the Weaver not winning. So I thought MUFC had an okay draft, but you know, you can't give away extinct 86.7% win rate on Visage, and you know, you gotta win harder on the other lanes to kind of compensate for that.
I agree. And I want to go back also to a point where a combination that we're seeing a lot in this tournament is Magnus and Alchemist. Do you remember the cost of Battle Fury? Is it like 5,200, something like that?
46.
4,600.
Yes.
Okay. So Empower gives you pretty much the same in terms of damage and cleave. Doesn't give you the HP or MP regen, but you don't need it if you're an Alchemist because
I'm actually very surprised that Alchemist still go Battle Fury. It's a nice farming item, but like you said, Empower kind of somewhat replaced that, and it doesn't give you what you want, which is armor and
exactly.
tank ability and things like that.
I'm seeing that combination makes sense because first of all, it saves you a very expensive item, which of course is not that expensive for Alchemist, but it's still like it's one more slot
Yeah, the build-ups are not really nice for him either. The Perseverance is somewhat
wasted on him.
because you have your ultimate that regens
Right.
a ton of HP and mana. So I'm not a big fan of it, but teams are using it and teams are winning with it. So hey,
No, what I'm saying is you don't need the Battle Fury if you have Empower, which is cool.
yeah.
It gives you the ability to go for another items, and I don't think any team has found a proper response
To
to
the Battle
this
Fury?
Magnus, no, not the Battle Fury, the Magnus Alchemist combination, where the Alchemist is permanently empowered and deals the damage of a Battle Fury without actually having to buy one, so he can go for Curas, he can go for BKB early, he can go for other stuff.
I think the proper response to that is actually having better lanes. Because Alchemist, okay laner, Magnus, very easy to beat.
Yeah, like imagine if they had a Queen of Pain or a Templar Assassin mid. Like you could really punish Magnus with that.
Put
Yeah.
your Weaver mid
Even Weaver mid actually would have been.
and put
Yeah,
DK
Weaver
on the
beats-
safe lane.
Yeah, Weaver beats Mag
Yes.
hard.
Yeah.
Like really hard. So
Really
Just
hard.
saying. Just
Actually,
saying.
that probably would have been better, to be honest.
I know.
Well, MUFC drops game number 1. As expected, easy win for Orange Esport. Let's see if Orange could kind of two-peat this and sweep the series. Of course, for Winter, we are all friends of Winter here, and we'll
Yep.
see if they could have some smart draft. Maybe a return of the Chronosphere of Hontrash
Maybe.
players Void. Yeah,
It's a good Faceless Void.
I feel like Faceless Void is one of the more underrated carries. It just beats a ton of other carries. That is an answer to the Magnus.
You know, I'm not sure, because I don't think Faceless Void until very, very late game has a possibility of just killing an Alchemist in a Chronosphere.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
So
Well, if he doesn't go any armor item. which,
yeah, and you have to go for
Alchemists
something
don't-
that actually
don't
helps
nowadays.
you, because it's still a lot of HP.
Yeah. But
We'll see.
let's leave it at that. We'll take a quick break. Game 2 of Orange Esport and MUFC is coming up next. And don't go anywhere, guys.